So, you want to make a film and you're thinking, how should I get started? A screenplay. Not a good, but a great screenplay. Somebody once told me that you need absolutely great script, and that always stick to my head because a great script will get your movie so much more further. Now we are trying to make an independent film on very little money with whatever we have, and we're trying to compete with big sharks. How do we do that? Story. We have to make sure that our story is absolutely amazing because we know for a fact that we won't be able to compete with all of their fancy cameras and lighting setups, but we have an ability to bring an amazing story to life and show them, and by them I mean big studio executives, that hey, I'm a small guy, but I can make a movie with this little money because as an independent filmmakers, and I will be honest with you, we don't want to be independent filmmakers always because it's a struggle and you don't want to suffer all your life. You want to have a stable life. You want to be financially rewarded for what you do. And how do you get there? You make one good movie, you prove that you can be trusted with small budgets, and then you step up your game. So let's talk about how to make an independent film that works. As an independent filmmaker, what I like to do, I like to go from what I have right now. For example, if I know that I can shoot a movie in this location, and it's our offices by the way, I would shoot a film here because I know that I have access to that. Maybe it's not right, maybe it's even counterproductive, but I like to go backwards. I like to go from what I have rather than write the script first and then try to find location. Because what happens, you complicate things to the point that then you have to worry about how to get money to get, for example, a location or a prop. So I always would highly recommend you guys to work with what you have. Now you don't have to have this kind of office. Maybe you have a nice house. Make a film in the house. Make a horror film in the house. Horror films always sell. Maybe you have a car. You don't have a house, you have a car. Make a film in the car. Put your actor in the car. Let them drive for 90 minutes. Make a film in real time. Make a film in one day. It's been done. It's been done to the point that it won awards. We need to win awards. We need to prove them that we can do things. How do you do that? You win awards. Make it entertaining. Long story short, always start with what you have. Now, the way I write screenplay is not how others write screenplay. And I'm not the best screenwriter. I'm an independent filmmaker and I feel like I'm a one-man band. So let me teach you, let me show you what I do. Take one blank piece of paper, American letter A4. You put numbers from 1 to 100. I will tell you why we do that. Hold on. An average movie is 90 minutes long, right? We have 100 scenes. Each one of those scenes is a minute. We have 100 minutes long. Now, all we have to do is to come up with those 100 scenes, make them at least 1 minute long runtime. Now, let me tell you that making a scene that's 1 minute long is not hard. Anybody can do it. The key is always to make it entertaining, make it interesting. This is how we do it. You always stick to the guns. You use what they use. And this is 3-act structure. You have Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3. Act 1 is the beginning of the film. Act 2 is the middle of the film. Act 3 is the end of the film. The way I like to do it, and this is why I asked you to do the numbers from 1 to 100, I would love to go to number 4. And this is going to be a small scene that what I call is foreshadowing. What I mean by that is I like to give my audience a clue of what's going to happen next. Then I go to number 15, and this is plot point 1. Any movie you ever watched and you will ever watch has plot point 1. This is a scene that happens always between 15 to 20 minutes, and this is where your film truly begins. Up to this moment, you introduce your characters. We show our audience what they do, where they live, where they're from, what they like, what they are scared of, and then we start to introduce problems. One small scene at plot point 1, around minute 15 to 20, is enough for our audience to connect deeper with our characters and to kick off the story in opposite direction. As an example, I will give you an idea. You have a character who has the job, he has 2 kids. All of a sudden, minute 15, he gets fired. He needs money to support kids. What he's going to do? The problem. Let's deal with the problem. And the best part is this can be anything you want, as long as it introduces a problem for our character to deal with. Now, when the plot point 1 is out of the way, I like to move to literally the middle of the film. And this is called midpoint. It's a scene or a small sequence of scenes that literally happen in the middle of the film, and it spins your character in totally opposite direction they were going. Now, the best part is that midpoint can be literally whatever you want, as far as your imagination can go. It can be money problem, it can be drug problem, it can be something else. It can be anything as long as it spins your character, the storyline, in an opposite way. In short, up to this point, your character has to work really hard towards a single goal. Then something happens that changes their perception of the goal so dramatically that they either abandon it or run away from it. Then what I like to do is I like to go to number 85. And as you can guess, this is plot point 2. Plot point 2 is a scene that leads directly to the resolution, to the climax of your film. Now, this is where your character either starts to succeed or to fail miserably at their goal. Now, you need to keep in mind that the outcome of the film is directly depending on the kind of film you're trying to make. Is it going to be a sad film? Is it going to be a funny film? Is it going to be a romantic film? In fact, some writers, they like to know how the film will end way before they start to write. That's totally up to you. There are so many different writing techniques, and like I said, I'm not going to teach you how to write, but I will tell you this. By having plot point 1, midpoint, and plot point 2, you have 3 key scenes out of the way. What I like to do next is to fill the blanks. And because we have 100 numbers in front of us, we have visual representation of the entire film, and it makes it so much more easier to write. Some writers prefer to use index cards, and they would put them on the walls, on the floor. That works as well. Like I said, find your technique, find what works for you. For the past 3 feature films I did, I found myself using this technique, and that is to take a piece of paper, a blank piece of paper, to put numbers from 1 to 100, plot point 1, midpoint, plot point 2, foreshadowing, fill the blanks, you got a movie. A good tip is to take some time and do research on your characters. Do some backstory, what they like, where they're from, where they're heading. Try to understand their world before you bring that to life. And question yourself, is it going to be worth to make this film? Is it going to be a boring film? Or is it going to be entertaining and funny or scary or romantic film? If the answer is yes, make it. If the answer is no, then probably you should keep researching, keep brainstorming until you find that yes. Because like I said, the thing is there are so many films out there that you need to stand out. We cannot blend in. We cannot afford to blend in. We are spending our money, our savings, whatever we have to make a film. We got to stand out. Also, a good tip is to not overcomplicate your story. Do not introduce a lot of characters, because keep in mind that more characters you have, harder it will be to schedule the film, and more it will cost you. Another tip is try to avoid a period dramas. Do not write a film that takes place in 60s or 20s or 17th or 15th century, because you won't be able to afford it. Shoot something that happens now or in the future if it's set in a very controlled environment like a studio that you will be able to afford. If you can afford that, stick to what you have, stick to real world, stick to what's around you. Now, when you have the first draft, do not, I repeat, do not rush into shooting, because sometimes when you rush things, bad things happen, and then you will find yourself with the film that could have been so much better. But it's not, because you rushed it. You wanted to shoot it so much, so fast. Don't rush. Take your time. Make sure it's good. Make sure it's worth telling. Okay, so you got your script. Are you ready to cast your actors? Let's do it.